So, if you're also a girl who tends to try and put other people first and meeting their needs before yours so that they like you, I need you to listen to this video. This has changed my opinion on exactly what I needed to be doing with other people in order to actually help them. I thought so often growing up as a people pleaser that I was doing the right thing by putting their needs first and accommodating for them to perceive me as somebody that would be their friend, but I wasn't then being authentic. Scientists have found that it is not love that's the best vibration. It is actually the most powerful and strong vibration you can have is being authentic, being genuine, being yourself, basically. So if you can feel safe and able to express yourself and honest, that is when you are at the highest vibration and the most healthy and vibrant and vital and virtuous woman that you can be. And that's what this channel is all about. So welcome to Devoted to Extraordinary, where today is the first, last, only and best day of your entire life. I'm coming to you from the road. I'm at Sango Sands Oasis today. This is my camper van, if you hadn't noticed. It was always a dream of mine to have van life, and I am now doing this with my mom. It's the second summer that we were going around. I'm so blessed. Last summer was Europe. This summer, it's the North Coast 500 in Scotland, and we're here together, and it is blustery outside, so I'm inside, but we've got a stunning view of the beach, and I need to tell you something that's been pressing on my heart, which was being able to notice what it was that I was doing wrong in my intention versus my impact. I was trying to help people thinking that I was doing the right thing. Helping another person is the same as helping yourself. When you are authentic, it allows them the space and the safety to also be themselves. The best thing that you can do is allow them to speak and listen instead of try to navigate the conversation a certain way. I don't know if you've heard of the work of Brené Brown called The Near Enemy. I have studied what evil looks like and what it does best. The reason I came to God is because I realized that the devil is real. And when I noticed that the devil imitates for a living, it lives in the shadows, it is nuance, it is everything we cannot pin down, it is all that darkness that we don't want to look at, it is fear. And when we realize that the devil's face is named when we look at it, when we say, this is what it is, it's only when we notice that we can actually change things. So noticing is most of the work. Brené Brown did this amazingly when she named the near enemy, because what we will often say is hate is bad. It's the opposite of love. That is the far enemy of love. We can often say and name the things that are obviously hateful and over the top, not okay. But what about that little nuance of that didn't feel completely right? That didn't feel whole. I didn't feel that I was completely accepted or that you were entirely empathic with me. I felt a little bit off. That moment was just missing something. You know, you sometimes walk away from somebody or a conversation and you feel like it just wasn't fully what you expected it to be. Whereas in another conversation, where, as I often say, presence is the most valuable thing, it only takes a few minutes to feel fully understood, accepted, and seen as yourself with another person to say, oh, that's what it feels like when someone's interested in me and asks questions and is present with me. I really sense that vitality waking up in my body, and I'm interested and I'm here and I'm living, I'm alive. So, can you be that when you're people pleasing? The answer is no. The reason why is because of this work by Brené Brown. The near enemy of listening and discovering is knowing. Knowing. Advice giving and problem solving. What's the very first thing that I used to do as a people pleaser when somebody came to me with their feelings was give advice. Oh, well, maybe you can do this. Try and solve it for them so that they would like me because I gave them exactly what to do. A lot of times, a girlfriend isn't actually going to want advice. She's most likely going to want your shoulder to cry on, your ear just to hear what she's going through. Because we, as women, feel better when we can talk about our problems. Instead, I invite you to simply be curious, ask questions, invite them to speak even more. It's amazing how little you have to do in order to be of great help. The one that stood out to me the most is that the near enemy of connection is, I'm going to ask you, do you have any idea what it might be? Because it really shook my world when I heard it. It was obvious as well. And yet, I couldn't quite put my finger on it until she said that the near enemy of connection is control. Control. When we try to manipulate how it is. And yes, manipulate might feel like it's a hard word, but it is in fact what we're doing. Manipulate how somebody else is witnessing us. Maybe trying to obliterate that part of us that is in the shadow, or think that we don't have weaknesses, or think that we're not capable of creating hurt. That is when we're most likely to create hurt. You need to acknowledge that being a human being and having desires in your heart is the very same place the Bible says that we also create evil. This is why we lean not on our own understanding. This is why we turn always to God and to prayer and to the Holy Spirit to enlighten us with wisdom of the truth, of the reality of the light. When the light is cast, when we can see and acknowledge our patterns, that's when we can take ownership of them. They say, name it to tame it. So when the near enemy of connection is control, we acknowledge that we try not to control things in order to actually allow those people to be and feel exactly as we're trying to make them feel when we are people pleasing, when we are putting their needs first. What do they need? What do they like? What do I need to be like in order for them to like me? We're not allowing, surrendering, a very feminine trait, the core of femininity, resting in the capacity that everything will fall into place without me having to hold the pillars of this building and environment alive. I don't need to control their perspective of me in order to be okay. They don't need me to hold them in order for them to be okay. If they are not okay, it doesn't mean I am not okay. This has a lot to do with detachment and codependence. You can have your own experience and your own feeling, and it means nothing about what I am feeling and what I need to do. I can allow you to feel fear, to feel scared, to feel unhappy, to feel sad, to feel angry. I don't need to change that. In fact, I'm doing more of a service to you by allowing you to feel the way that you want to feel. As soon as you hit rock bottom, you will come up. It is necessary to hit rock bottom in order to come up. That is the natural order of things. So if I am disowning my shadow, if I am casting away my fears, I am allowing, and here is the most important part, I am allowing shame to live in my body. If I allow shame to live, it means that I'm questioning my own integrity. You only have integrity when you know everything that lives in you. You only have integrity when you own every part of yourself. Do you have integrity if you're saying, we're not going to look at that, we're not going to talk about that now? You cannot feel sad. I was actually the most amazed, and I was taught the most in my personal life and experiences, just like all of us are. It's never the coaching thing or the thing that you pay for or the course. It's mostly the people and the experiences that we go through that teach us. I was taught by one of my ex-boyfriends, at the time boyfriend. He was feeling sad one day, and I just came to the room and I said, what can I do to help you shake it off? And he said, isn't it okay that I just want to feel sad right now? Just let me be sad right now. I'm going to listen to my playlist. You can sit here with me or you can go away, but either way, I don't want to feel different. It was the first time that I noticed that I had grown up melancholic. I had grown up nostalgic. I had grown up with this sense of sadness that was just slightly always teetering over the edge. Like I wasn't fully happy. I was always seeing and sensing into everybody, being highly empathic and not noticing that I wasn't fully experiencing my life, my joys, my freedom, and my own experience. He was allowing himself to feel sadness. I pushed sadness away until that point it made me see, okay, sadness is good because if I want to be a full human who is also joyful, I need to experience what it's like to not be a happy person. And it can also be turned into something else. You can use sadness to propel your creativity. I always wrote songs and poetry, and things like this can be created from that well that actually other pieces can't be created without those emotions. So you learn to widen and welcome and embrace. Everything in life is an invitation and an openness. And when we acknowledge the near enemy of things, we actually learn the language of subtlety. So when we learn the language of subtlety, we know that nothing here can get in. Because when someone comes to you and tries to guilt trip you with a comment, you can notice it immediately. That's your power. And then give it words. Say, I notice you were trying to guilt trip me with that. And then you can shift the power dynamic. That's ultimately what people who are out of integrity or who have a large ego are trying to do. They're trying to broaden their own sense of self by pushing you down, and it's not going to happen anymore, not here and not in our future, because this is our one and only life. Here are a couple of not so genuine emotions that imitate the authentic emotion. So first we've got lust imitates love. How many times have we been attached to someone because we sleep with them and we want that high, that dopamine, that oxytocin? Again, it's all chemicals. It's not real, because are they there for you when there's a conflict? Are they there for you when it's hard? That's what truly counts. Lust imitates love. Brené Brown says, "The near enemy of love is attachment. True love allows, honors, and appreciates. Attachment grasps, demands, needs, and aims to possess." Next, we have pride imitates joy. How many times have you had a large head and you think you're on a high? You think that you can do it. You're puffing out your chest. That is a genuine definition of being prideful. And you think you're on your high horse. You got everything going on for yourself. You are good. But actually, you're not truly happy. That consistent happiness is joy, and it comes from a humility of heart. The first of the 7 heavenly virtues is humility, and the first of the 7 deadly sins is pride. There is a reason for that. It's because they are set against one another. So if you are too prideful, you won't have that humility, which gives way immediately to joy. Drugs imitate peace. Drugs imitate and induce a feeling that you can be peaceful, but they're actually just the synthetic version. You cannot reach that on your own. Peace is, of course, what I've gained since I've got the love of Christ and my spiritual father in my life. Sin imitates freedom. Of course, we're all living in sin because we think that we can do all of these things and it comes without a consequence. But if you're not Christian, you've probably most likely heard of karma, and that always follows every single thing. Every action has a reaction, every cause has an effect. So, whatever you do that is against the law of God, the law of nature, what would be best for the situation, the truth, what you know would be the right thing to do, every time you go against that, you are creating a sin. Put it in those words. Sin imitates freedom because you think that you've got a life of freedom when you're going out and you're partying every single night and you're living against your values and you're not doing what you know is truly intrinsically the correct thing to be doing. When you're doing that, you're not yet humbled by that all catching up to you. So every single habit that we have will let down the future version of ourselves. When we're not exercising, we're instead watching TV until the late hours, we're not going to wake up early enough the next day. It's very practical, living in sin versus living in virtue. They say that discipline creates freedom because if you do, in fact, switch off the screens early enough the night before and get a good night's sleep, you've got an early morning the next day, and then you can rest well into the evening. You can maybe go out with your friends and such, and you feel balanced and you feel healthy while you're doing it. So true freedom and sin are very different. And sin is imitating freedom because freedom comes without all those bad consequences. And of course, the devil imitates God. The far enemy of listening and discovering would be indifference, ignoring, diminishing, walking away, and disinterest. So while we might be able to point those out quite clearly, we don't often point out, hey, you gave me advice, as something that felt a little off. We have to pay more attention to the nuances. Another good example of Brené Brown's work between the near enemy and the far enemy is kindness. The near enemy is pity. When we can't actually have empathy for somebody and instead we have sympathy and we're like, oh, I'm so sorry for that. It doesn't quite feel the same as empathy. True kindness, truly being there for you. And then, of course, the far enemy would be hostility. If somebody comes to you and is hostile instead of being kind, it's obvious. You want to walk straight away from that person, but the devil is subtle. The devil will say, "Aw, sweetheart, I'm so sorry to hear that." And unfortunately, I know a few people who sound exactly that way. And I'm not going to seek out their advice, but every so often, you do encounter these people who think that they're doing the right thing and who don't know how to connect. It may not even be intentional that they're not showing up in that authenticity, but this is exactly why, if you notice where you're not showing up with authenticity, you can give way to true connection. And then our favorite keyword of the century, it seems like, is mindfulness. The far enemy of mindfulness would be reactivity. We're very quick to notice who can and does react quite harshly, but then there is the near enemy, which is complacency. Does it really matter if someone's being hostile? They actually care in some regard, but if someone's complacent, maybe they don't quite care so much. They're like, oh, well, it doesn't matter, when in fact it does. I would say that that's a sign of your life force being turned off, and it's time to get that vitality back. Because when we have mindfulness is when we attempt to notice and attempt to change and grow. And only at the edge of your comfort zone are you capable of becoming who you know you were always meant to be. Of course, I'm not saying that reactivity is the best thing, but then neither is complacency. We want to be mindful. We want to be capable of noticing how we are showing up. Because in all this work, in noticing and taking in information, we actually want to transform. That's the whole point. We want to become these women. We want to feel embodied. We want to listen to our intuition and then take action from there. We want to feel connected to self. So the far enemy of that is clearly just being disembodied entirely, being disconnected from ourselves, numbing out, maybe having a period of time in which we don't even notice this. That's the whole point. You come out of it, you look back in hindsight and you realize, oh, I've been really stuck. I've been super disembodied, but you want to be fully embodied with the growth and the knowledge that you're accumulating. But here's a really interesting one, even for myself, which is that the near enemy of full embodiment is actually intellectualizing your feelings, really just feeling them in your head rather than in your body, not allowing yourself to get into your body, to move, to do exercise, to dance, to swim. Feel your emotions, go on a walk. Journaling has its place, therapy has its place, but you need to let your body feel in order to even get to a point that you can start to give it words. So if you also want to become a virtuous woman full of vitality and in integrity, I really welcome you here. Please subscribe. Please share this with a friend who might need to hear it. I'm so excited to hear your comments and also work with you. I'm going to be doing a lot more GNM, that's German New Medicine, on this channel and with you individually. So please apply at the link below for virtue calls. Vitality calls will come later on. Right now, that's soft skills and knowing that you're humble and really developing this spirit-led woman in you. Until then, harden not your hearts, love and serve each other.